In this section of material, we're going to be talking about how to use formulas in order to solve problems. So this is still all about word problems here. Before we actually start doing some examples, let's look at some things that they've done and see if we can figure out how they got their formula. This first one that they did, they said this is a geometry problem. The actual problem says the area A of a rectangle is the product of its length L and its width W. Well, if you think about what that says the area A is, well, that tells us that we're going to have the area is equal to. The product of means you're going to be multiplying two things. And what are we multiplying here? The length and the width. So the length L and the width W. And you can see that that's how they came up with their formula. This is literally just translating as we've done before. However, this time we're coming up with an actual equation that uses several different letters and that has application in all kinds of things, geometry, physics. They've given an economics example and a finance example. Let's go ahead and see if we can come up with some of these ourselves and see if that'll help. Okay, this first example says we're supposed to translate the verbal description into a mathematical formula. Always important to read your directions first. Don't ever forget that. The first one says the area A of a circle is the product of the number pi and the square of its radius. So let's look at this as a translation problem. The area A of a circle, which would be represented by A, is a key word for equals. And then we have the product of. Well, the product of tells you you're going to be multiplying. And we will have to multiply two things together. So let's think about what two things are we multiplying here. We're multiplying the number pi and the square of its radius. These are the two things that we're going to be multiplying. So the number pi and the square of its radius. So let's call the radius r, and we have to square that. So this is the product over the multiplication of pi and the square of the radius. Now we all should know that formula as A equals pi r squared. Remember, we don't necessarily have to put the multiplication symbol in between unless you just really want to, but it's not really necessary. Now the next problem says the daily cost C of manufacturing computers is 175 times the number of computers manufactured, X, plus 7,000. So let's do this a little bit at a time. The daily cost C of manufacturing computers, we're going to call that C, is, here's our keyword for equals, 175 times the number of computers manufactured. If the number of computers manufactured is X, and we're doing 175 times that, that would be represented as 175X. Then it says plus, which is addition, $7,000. So this is our formula. It literally is a translation problem. The last one here says the distance s that an object free falls is 1/2 the product of acceleration due to gravity, g, and the square of time, t. So let's look at it one piece at a time again. The distance s that an object free falls. So we're calling that s is, which would be an equals, 1/2 the product of is a multiplication, so we're going to be multiplying two things together. Acceleration due to gravity, which is g, and the square of time, t. So time and then square it. Well, because we're multiplying all of these things together, we don't really need that parentheses. We could just write it as 1/2 g t squared equals s.